What would you do if you were 4 months pregnant, severely ill, and your husband decided to move his entire extended family into your newly purchased home without your consent, turning your sanctuary into an unbearable mess? In today's story, Alara's choice is a masterclass in how to handle it. Alara, at 26, was embarking on a new chapter, having recently moved into her first home and expecting her first child. However, her pregnancy had been far from smooth, marked by relentless morning sickness. The sickness escalated dramatically, leading to a terrifying incident where she passed out, hit her head, and required a week-long hospital admission. Upon her return home, still recovering, Alara was met with a shocking reality. Her husband, Liam, had allowed his brother's family, his brother, Silas, and Silas's family, to move into 2 of their 3 bedrooms. The reason for their eviction remained a mystery to Alara. Her designated office space had been unceremoniously dumped into their shared bedroom, papers strewn everywhere. The entire house was a disaster, littered with trash, dirty clothes, and used diapers. The sight of her once pristine home in such disarray, combined with her physical exhaustion, brought Alara to tears. It was as if a switch had flipped in Liam. He was no longer the supportive partner she knew. When confronted, he dismissively stated it wasn't that bad. Exhausted and at her wits' end, Alara retorted, "Fine then, you should have the house cleaned up before I wake up." She collapsed into a 4-hour sleep, only to wake and find the house just as she'd left it. She couldn't even get a drink of water. Every single glass they owned was scattered throughout the house, untouched. Not a single thing had been cleaned. In a silent protest, she passively-aggressively began gathering and washing the dirty dishes. The following morning brought no respite. Alara tried to work, but the incessant crying of Silas's children and their banging on the walls made concentration impossible. Their mother, Silas's wife, Serafina, remained in her room for hours, seemingly oblivious to her children's commotion. This reveals Liam's greatest fatal flaw, his shocking lack of consideration for his wife's well-being and his inability to set boundaries with his family, which ultimately sealed his fate. When Liam finally returned home, instead of offering support, he chastised Alara. He was upset that she hadn't made Serafina feel welcome by helping with the kids, who were apparently tired. He then continued to complain about how nothing had been done around the house all day while he was at work. The same house, of course, that he hadn't bothered to clean. This ignited a furious argument. Alara, at her breaking point, declared, "I am too sick to have company and they need to leave." Liam, however, remained resolute, stating they were his family and he wouldn't kick them out. Alara, beyond frustrated and physically and emotionally depleted, began to cry again. The sheer audacity of Liam to prioritize his extended family over his heavily pregnant, ill wife, in their own home, was staggering. As one commenter put it, "Your husband moved in people to the home without consulting with you first. He is prioritizing their needs over the needs of his wife and unborn child." Feeling utterly defeated, Alara did the only thing she could think of. She called her mother, casting aside any pretense and recounting the entire story to her while Liam stood there, stunned, angry, and visibly unsure of what to do. Her mother, Isabella, arrived swiftly, accompanied by Alara's 3 older brothers. Isabella, radiating fury, wasted no time in confronting Liam. "Since your family can stay, so can we." Isabella immediately took charge, sending a grateful Alara to bed. Alara's brothers, meanwhile, began a loud and thorough cleaning spree, loudly expressing their disgust at Silas's family's mess and Liam's appalling behavior during Alara's illness. Shortly after, Alara received a text message from her mother-in-law, Martha, who called her an A for not helping Liam clean the house and for making Silas uncomfortable by having Isabella boss him around. However, when Martha herself arrived, initially seething and shouting outside, her demeanor shifted dramatically once she saw the state of the house. She was shocked. The house was indeed a horrendous mess. It became clear that Silas had lied to her about the situation. Martha, witnessing the reality, quickly joined Isabella in taking charge, and together they not only cleaned the house but deep-cleaned it. Silas and his children are now staying with Martha. Martha had been completely unaware of their eviction, and it surfaced that she and Alara's father-in-law had financially assisted them just a few months prior. Martha was, understandably, not pleased. Serafina, Silas's wife, remained holed up in her bedroom, screaming through the door, until her own family arrived to pick her up. As another commenter aptly stated, "Wait, your MIL called to fuss at you for involving your mother? There's this pot kettle thing." In a calmer moment, Alara spoke with Liam. He seemed genuinely remorseful. She requested some space, and he agreed, moving into a hotel. He later asked to talk with her that evening. With her parents now present, both mothers, Isabella and Martha, agreed Alara should not be alone given her condition. They even devised a meal plan, rotating who would bring dinner, a thoughtful idea initiated by Martha. The 4-hour conversation with Liam was difficult but productive. He reiterated his remorse. He admitted that Silas and his family were only supposed to stay for a couple of nights, and he had genuinely believed they would be gone before Alara returned home. He confessed to being tired and emotionally upset himself, revealing that when Alara originally passed out, he had been out helping a friend move. He returned to find her, and the terrifying thought that she might have died, having no idea how long she had been on the floor, had haunted him with nightmares ever since. He acknowledged that he had unfairly dumped his frustrations onto her. Recognizing it wasn't her fault, he earnestly begged for another chance. For now, they remain separated. Liam plans to stay in his brother's casita. They are committed to attending both marriage counseling and individual counseling. Alara agreed to his request to be present when the home health nurse visits each night and at her doctor's appointments. In a final twist, an update on Silas's situation emerged. His wife, Serafina, admitted to having an affair. She revealed she married too soon and no longer wanted the responsibilities of motherhood. Alara expressed shock at Serafina's feelings, especially concerning her children, and the future for Silas and his kids remains uncertain. The core lesson of this story is that true partnership requires respect, communication, and unwavering support, especially during times of vulnerability. What would you do in a similar situation when your partner's actions jeopardize your well-being and your home?